this all from the road out of the big lakes that don't get so good. Superior, they say if your mom is up for dead, working girls and all never got
Yo, hey guys, welcome Smallmouth Crush Live. Monday night, March 7, 2022. Epic Eric. No Alex.
Where's Alex, man?
Where are we?
Is he recovered?
I am not sure.
You had him out late, man, and you had him tuned up a little bit. What happened?
Man, really impressed with him, dude. Like, it was nice.
You mean like in his drinking ability?
No, I never met him in person.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So you had a time to like hang out in person. That's cool. That's very cool, actually.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Nice, man.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome. I'm really behind on everything. Okay.
Understandably so.
I'm a one-man show. So I know
one-man show.
Well.
Oh, you mean not tonight? You mean just in general?
Yeah, and I just noticed
I understand.
Finally, see that rough mark there, Brodus?
Looks like a vampire bite.
Means I catch some big old bass. So what was I gonna say? I was on a roll.
You're a one-man show. You're behind. Caught some big old bass today.
Bunch of people ordered clothing over the last week.
Awesome.
And we're gonna get that out as soon as I get back.
Fantastic, man.
A bunch of people emailed me about emails.
A bunch of people emailed you about emails? What does that even mean?
You have a lot of questions. What size drop shot? What kind of rod? And how do you hook a worm? I'll get back to you as soon as I can with all
that kind of stuff. I got you.
Okay.
I understand, man. It's tough, man. When you're out and you're at a show, I know, man, things just, it's like a steamroll event.
Yes.
For sure.
Nathan, I met so many people down there. It was pretty cool. I would be at one booth and have to try to make it across the expo and get pulled over a few times, which I didn't mind at all. I love it. But it was pretty cool to see everybody. I helped St. Croix out quite a bit in the booth this past week. We really excited about the new lineup of rods that they have. The new bass tournament rods are legit. They're going to be available March 25th. There's just a whole lot of cool things going on that realm. And I could definitely talk a little bit about it here if we want. But man, it was just exciting. I really didn't follow much of the fishing at all. So as you can imagine, you're working the booth, you're talking to people, and you don't really follow the tournament while you're there. Of course, I briefly took in some of the weigh-in, but it was very difficult. I think Jason Christie won.
Yes, he did. 5 ounces. Redemption.
Not sure how he did it, but I'm sure I'll have some time to catch up on all that.
He had like one good ditch and a couple good docks, and he says he just ground it out, man. I mean,
yeah,
concentrated, focused, fished his heart out, man. 5 ounce win, man. That's a redemption win if I've ever heard one, man. On the lake that where you were talking to yourself saying, I should have picked up a Senko. I could pick up a Senko with a spinning rod, but I'm not doing that. Like talking his way through it as the champion's doing it down lake. Crazy, right?
Yeah. The only problem, Eric, to be like honest with the whole thing, we as a representative of Mercury and helping Mercury out strictly for the classic, that's why I come down here. That's my main job number one.
Sure.
They want a Mercury guy to win the classic. Like they're very low spirits when it's a non-Mercury angler that wins.
What does Christie run?
A Yamaha.
Oh,
so
Yamaha dog got the win. Dang.
So it's kind of like because Mercury has won many, many years in a row.
Sure.
And it's the same really with like Power Pole. You guys don't understand as far as the sponsors
but
go.
I think people really understand it's not the engine that won it.
True. But
he could be running any engine, but I get it's good for business.
It's very good for business. I was blown away just how good for business those types of things are.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty crazy how one, you know, like Humminbird's pulling for Humminbird pros. You know what I mean?
Sure, man.
Garmin got another win this year, you know.
Wow. Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Nuts, man.
Very cool. We got a great show. It's going to be a quick show.
Yeah, man.
We're going to get Brooks on here in a little bit. We're going to talk a little Cortland, catch up with him, and just kind of freestyle this one because we're both obviously different locations. I have no idea where you are, Eric.
Yeah, I'm down in the Outer Banks, man. I had a tournament this weekend. Start to our tournament season. Fantastic start with 3 dead batteries after we ran to our first spot. Literally DOA, man. Scooter doesn't have his boat yet, and we borrowed a boat. And as Scooter so eloquently said, prior to the tournament the night before, borrowed boats equals borrowed trouble. And it came home to roost, man. So we had to pull out, try to charge them up with a generator. The tournament trailer was there. No dice after 30 minutes. Assessed the problem there for another 30 minutes. Ran to the Napa Auto Parts. It was closed. Had to wait for the Advanced Auto Parts to open. Came out with the battery tester, did the battery test. 3 dead batteries. Went through the NASCAR battery changer. Took pictures of the wiring so we didn't screw it up. And,
well,
you know,
by that time it was what, 11?
I don't have a clue. I wasn't even looking at my watch at that point. You know what? For the first tournament in a row ever, I forgot my wristwatch. I know people make fun because I wear the old granny style wristwatch, but several guys that had Lowrance units that there was a screw up with the timing, lost money. Nobody lost a tournament that I know of, but Bill Kramer, who I fish with, River Rat, lost money based on a Lowrance mess up with the clock. Matt Pangrak paid dearly in a tournament for that. So yeah, man, I didn't have this on my wrist, so I wasn't even paying attention. My phone was in the boat, didn't care. We just got there. The whole day was jammed. But I did catch a fish like on my first cast several times with this little Marty Burns square bill painted by TK Stanley. And that is on the front of this bait. That's nail polish that I sent TK to paint with. How cool was that, man? It's got a little ticker into it too. And I'll just say this, my little River Rat spinner bait. I'm working on this with Gary Sheets, 9K Elite Lures, man. This little badass bitch is going to be it's a killer, man. That's my skirt pattern too. Check it out, Travis. Look at that little flash in there, man. Can you see it? Just a little hint, a micro pearl flash. Yeah, we're working on it. I got some adjustments to make, but I'm pretty impressed. Hey, one more thing. Have you tried this trailer hook? Anybody out there sound off? This is from Gamakatsu. It's an Aaron Martin's Gamakatsu trailer hook for your spinner bait. And it has a bend right up there. You can see it right there by the eye. And what it does is it keeps the hook straight. It doesn't fall down all the way. It has such positive hooking power. And I fooled around with it on the river a little bit and at some ponds. And I hooked every fish that bit with that. So I'm pretty super impressed. And the last thing I want to show off is that little flat side, fooled by Marty Byrne and finished painted by TK Stanley. That thing is going to do some serious damage this spring. So anyway, man. I just want to show you a couple things, man.
Let's talk about, since Brooks not on you, let's talk a little bit about the Classic. Obviously, that's a hot topic. It was a pretty amazing deal. There was big crowds, at least from my end.
They set a record.
Well, they always say it's a record.
No, I mean, that was 150,000.
It's like Dave Mercer gets up on stage and says, this is the best arena, the best fans we've ever had. And maybe it's
I think they set a record with attendance. They announced that. I don't think they announce that every time.
Yeah, that's because they got people at the gate throwing the clicker over. For everyone that goes by, they click it 2 more times.
Okay.
It's kind of a joke.
I see what you're saying. So they're trying to it's
a joke. Let's just move on. Okay.
Okay. You were just joking. Okay, I got you. But did you watch any of it? Like, you don't get to because you're there and you're really super busy, so you didn't see any of the live or anything like that. You're just
I wasn't able to. In fact, the first night was somewhat low key, and then the next morning, Friday, I walk into the expo, and I went to the Bass U booth, and we Alex was there, and I didn't even So I must have weird, I'm like really like zoned or something. Like I don't notice my surroundings at times in those big crowds, right?
Okay.
And he was right there standing next. Like I looked over him. I was like, I was just talking to BTC, and it didn't click that he was down there for Bass U. I just thought he was down there. Like I didn't put two and two together.
I got you.
And there he was. So we have some video clips we're gonna put together when we get some time of our evening adventures.
That'll be fun.
Brian the Carpenter, Alex. I know we FaceTimed you wild. You know, you got to experience a little bit of that nightlife as well with us, and it was a lot of fun. We met a lot of great people, and the fact that it was just nonstop chaos for us.
It looked like it.
Yes. And then of course Saturday night was great. We had like 25 people went out to dinner with St. Croix rods.
Oh wow!
And it's really impressive. Like again, you guys know I'm a huge fan of St. Croix, but it's the people behind the company as well that makes a company great. And I really love hanging out with everybody there. They're super cool. I really was able to talk to most of the people that work there on a regular basis for the first time. You know, I did a little bit last year, but we had, of course, we had Dan and we had Ryan on the show in the past, and those guys were in the booth with us, and there was just a lot of great things going on. I got like, I can't even think. I did get a bunch of stuff though. What did I get that was super cool? Well, I'm going to wait on sharing some of that stuff, but there was some cool baits and things like that. And we were able to network with a bunch of people. I see some people in the comments that met me as well. Was able to put a name to a face, and it was a sweet time. Sad it came to an end. I went to the Ike Live party last night, Eric. It was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And I was playing pool. It was I can't think of her name. Kurt Dove's wife, myself, Matt, and gosh, who was the other guy? His name's from Mercury. Guy I just met. Really, really nice guy. We're playing pool all night. And like 12 o'clock came around. I'm like, man. So here's what happens. If I keep drinking, which I only had like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I'm going to get up and go fishing the next day because I wanted to go fishing. And so I was like, I'm going to head out. I said goodbye to everybody. I'm walking back to the room. I'm like, so if I lay down for 2 hours, it's going to be pointless. I'm like, pack your stuff up and let's go. So I go. I head down the road, go get the boat. A guy let me keep it outside of Greenville. And I kind of told him I was going to be there between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7, but not, midnight or 1. So I was a little concerned driving down that long driveway, back of the house there, picking up a boat in the middle of the night, what could happen. But we got that job done, got on the road, and I was able to do a little fishing with my buddy Jason. I actually met Jason through Ryan Salzman a few years ago, and we went to a couple of different places where we get some pretty good bites. And we had, coming down here, I thought, okay, it's going to be a jerkbait bite like we had last year, or some type of swim bait bite, which he shared. He's like, we're going to throw some swim baits and wreck them. I'm like, okay, I'm in. So we get there, and I really packed light for this trip because I wasn't planning on, having everything with me. So we get there, and we start throwing swim baits, and we're like, nothing's happening. And one graph was on, the other one wasn't on. And I'm like, he's like, check the water temp. We checked the water temp. It was 62 degrees. Last week, 1 week ago today, he had over a 30-pound bag on a little finesse swim bait, 3-inch swim bait. And we knew something was wrong pretty quick. And obviously, a lot of these fish went shallow. So we ended up going sight fishing pretty much the whole day. And lucky for me, I had a couple of those big swim baits that Austin gave me, and glide baits. He was using a, gosh, what is it now? The Mega Bass. It's like a hard body swim bait. I should know this.
Eye slide?
The what?
The eye slide?
No.
The Vitalian?
No. Let me know in the comments, guys. Come on. I can't believe
those are my two guests. But mag draft is a soft body one. Somebody said mag draft, but that's soft body.
Mag draft.
The mag draft is a soft bodied swim bait.
That's what he was throwing.
Okay, yeah. Okay. You said hard body.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was throwing the hard body glide bait. Anyways,
right.
Going down the bank, he jacks on like a 4.5 with it, and now he's really excited. And all of a sudden, we start seeing beds, and it was kind of cloudy. It was a little bit of rain, and we just went into this cove, and there was 2 locked on giants, and so we're all excited. And I can't find my hooks. I don't have any creature baits. I don't even know if I have tungsten in there. It was a mess. So I grabbed a 7-foot medium extreme spinning rod, put a little drop shot on with a French fry. All I had was my tidal water worm box with me. And so I put that French fry on, and it didn't take long. And Big Mama bit, man. And it was a pretty epic battle. Ended up getting into the trolling motor and then jumping multiple times on the other side of the boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, man, I'd really like to get this fish in. It looked, I'm not gonna exaggerate on the weight. I'll be honest though, it looked like a 10+ pounder. And
no scale in the boat.
I did. I weighed it. It was right around 8 pounds. So
okay, gotcha. Nice fish though, man.
We thought it was a true stud.
It's crazy how big it has to be that big, man.
Yeah, and then the rest of the day we caught a bunch of 4s and 5 pounders.
Oh, what a fun day, man! That's
no
awesome.
Other big ones, but
yeah, that's awesome. Sight fishing is fun.
Gosh, yeah. Not the right setup, but if I had to do it all over again, I would. I was throwing. I had
still
for some reason I brought my smallmouth tube, so I was flipping a little 2.5-inch tube at them. That worked.
That worked, I'm sure.
Oh, well, so time flew by today, and I knew I had to go to this live. I had no idea where the hotel I was going to stay at or nothing. And so it's like 4:30 now, and I have to be live at 7 because we're central right now.
Yep.
And we lock on a big one, and he fishes. I let him fish it for a good 15 minutes, nothing. He's like, all right, take over, man. I took over. I'm thinking I'll get that sucker to bite in first cast. Nope. So 45 minutes later, I ended up going in my box and put a little tiny rage craw.
Yep.
My drop shot, and then I had the line to the hook about 2 inches.
Yep.
And I kept flipping it. Boom, boom, boom. It would like get mad.
Yeah.
But it would never fully commit. And I did that for 45 minutes straight. Just kept casting on its head.
So did you bang it? Did you bump it a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I even threw that big swim bait in there.
Oh, that would get him really aggravated.
He was mad. He wasn't going anywhere, but man, that was one stubborn fish. And at that point, I wasn't going to leave until I caught him. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have to break through the gate to get that. Moving right along. I see our guest of the evening just popped on. So let's bring Brooks. And just like that, there he is.
What's up, Brooks?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Not too much. You ever have those things where you're on a live chat and you go to like start your computer and you have to like reboot the whole thing, download Google Chrome. Google Chrome's been on my laptop for like 11 years. I just had to re-download it tonight. So I was just sitting back here scrambling for the last 15 minutes. I actually signed on my phone, then it downloaded. Like, you know, one of those kind of nights.
I tell you, man, I hate that, don't you? Like, you know, minutes before. Oh no, like total chaos. Been there, done that one.
Oh man.
What's up with you guys? You guys are out. Last time I was on the show, Eric, I think you were in Florida.
Yep, I'm in Carolina tonight.
Travis, I think you were home, but looks like both of you guys are remote again.
It's like we're always split. Yeah, we've been trying to make this happen. I try to make it a point in the last year to really keep the schedule up and go. I mean, we could easily said screw this, but I knew we had to squeeze Brooks on here, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna make it happen wherever we end up. Hopefully, we got good internet, and we can have a little chat. Last time you were on, we went through like, gosh, it's been, what was it, about a year ago, right?
Yeah.
About a year.
About a year. And I was really first started using your braid and getting involved with your company. And, you know, since that time, Brooks, I've been using Cortland braid every day. It's on all my reels. You know that. It's, I'm blown away. And everybody we talk to, I have not heard any negativity as far as, you know, as far as any of the feedback. It's been all positive. And I know that we got a couple new retailers that are out there. And all in all, it's been great. So we wanted to bring you back on just to kind of catch up, because I know you do a lot of fishing as well. Maybe not so much for bass, but the trout and the salmon deal. Kind of get your thoughts this past fall. Eric sampled a little bit of upstate New York salmon this past fall, and
I still have king salmon blood coursing through my veins.
But it's funny, actually. We took a tour of your plant this
That
past
was so
fall.
much fun, man. I loved every minute of that, dude. That was just fascinating.
That was pretty cool. And
That was very cool.
That's when you made Eric and myself real nervous, when you said your buddy had some issues when he got bit by a salmon.
That was crazy, man. Oh, I knew what could happen.
Yeah, it's
You
real.
clean that thing out.
It's
like
real.
Total scrub situation.
Yeah, he had a couple nurses told me he was going to lose his whole hand, and he made these poor nurses in Pennsylvania squeeze every ounce of the infection out of his hand until they saved it. And they saved it.
That's so crazy, man.
That is. So
That's
I caught
a
that
nutty story.
I caught that big fish today, Eric, on my 5-pound, because all I had was my smallmouth drop shot rod. I caught that on 5-pound high vis Cortland with a little 610. Yeah, it was actually a 610 medium light rod.
And what pound leader? 8? Were you throwing 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible, right? That must have been so much fun.
Wow.
I caught a 796. It was a couple of years ago, so I wasn't throwing Cortland, but with Tatsu leader, 8-pound Tatsu, and literally the nastiest brush pile, 796 in a tournament with like 30 minutes to go. And I mean, the whole entire leader was just buzzsawed. I was crazy lucky that I got that fish out. Just didn't panic, didn't pull, let the fish swim out of the cover. But then when it got out of the cover, all hell broke loose. It was nuts. The fish had me up and back. Scooter grabbed me by the scruff of my neck. I'm on the front of the boat in an instant. I had no idea how I got there. Scooter grabbed me. I wish there was a GoPro on the boat at that moment. It was nuts. Chaos.
So for those that don't know, Brooks, what is your, I guess, position or responsibilities with Cortland? Give us a quick background. I know we've had you on before, but for some of the new viewers, kind of give us a quick intro, if you would.
Sure. So I started at Cortland, I believe 10 years ago as of April 1st, because it's always kind of the trout season kickoff is, you know, if you're a fly angler. But 10 years ago, I started there. I started in the manufacturing plant making fly line, moved up to a sales position about 7 or 8 years ago. I do most of the product development for the fly side and some of the product development for the conventional side. So all of our super braids, master braid, our hollow core braid for the offshore tuna game. And I'm also the sales rep for Cortland in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. So I basically cover from Maine to Maryland. I work right in the plant, I work in the office. Obviously, I'm an in-house sales rep, and I do a lot of odds and ends. You know, I handle a lot of the, you know, work with our marketing team, work with our pro staff team. Last year, I think right after I got off this call, business just went booming, and I worked in our shipping department for 60 straight days.
Holy moly!
So
That's
I just
crazy.
You know, myself along with a lot of the other guys in the office, we wear a lot of hats, but you know, in general, you know, Northeast sales rep and product development.
Very good. And you do a little bit of fishing.
Yeah, I after the show last year, I got a lot more into bass fishing. I mean, I grew up bass fishing, but this was like a whole different side of bass fishing that I had never seen before. And, you know, after last year's show and just the shops that we had opened and the guys that I've met along the way and attending a lot more weigh-ins locally here, it's just such an eye opener. You know, if you were formerly kind of from the fly fishing side of the business, you know, I do a lot of inshore saltwater, offshore saltwater, but the bass fishing is just incredible. So I got way more into that this year. Obviously, this show had a lot to do that. I like watching this show. I watch the guys over Susquehanna Fishing Tackle. They got a killer live show every Thursday night. Those guys do a nice job. They're great anglers. They speak well to the consumers. So I try to soak in as much as I can. I mean, I'm about of a basic bass fisherman as you can get. So I'm soaking it up left and right. And it helps me, you know, for product development. It helps in sales. You know, you got to understand what you're selling at the end of the day and
heck yeah,
talk the terminology. And I've learned a lot the last 2 years when it comes to bass fishing. Probably conventional fish this past year way more than I fly fish, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I never thought that was possible, but I think I'm kind of enjoying a spin reel more than I am a fly reel. I never thought I'd say that, but I'm having way more fun with it.
Well, I'm going to try to get you out in the boat this summer, man. Why not? We're right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm awful, so you're going to have to put up with me. So, but I'll love it.
Right? Yeah, yeah. How about the salmon and trout? How was that this past season?
Oh, that was great. I mean, as you guys know, I mean, you capitalized on some salmon when you're up there in the North Country.
Unbelievable.
The salmon, you know, run this year was great. Business was good. People were loving it. Trout fishing just as well. I mean, I think we had some ideal weather this year. I mean, I live in Syracuse, but upstate New York, I think this was one of the hottest years on record and one of the wettest years on record. So, you know, it was 85, 90 degrees every day, but it was dumping a half-inch of rain.
Holy moly.
You know, when it comes to lake run fish, they love water. So
wow.
That was great. Made for bass fishing kind of tricky, you know. I mean, just getting these loads of rain in the middle of the summer, super hot conditions. I mean, you know how it was on Oneida this year, Travis. It was kind of off. It wasn't fish. They just never kind of settled in and got dialed in. So that was kind of tricky. But, you know, as far as the salmon fishing goes, I mean, that's a big business up here in the North Country where you guys are fishing. Anywhere that, you know, any of those streams that run into Lake Ontario, that just brings a ton of business to those small towns. And it was great this year.
Oh, man.
It's just kind of a funky weather year. I mean, the wind's howling outside my house right now.
Down here too, man. It's like cooking 25.
It's funky, you know, but it depends on what you're doing, you know, whether you're bass fishing or fishing a stream or a river, or you just kind of got to roll with the punches and do whatever works.
Well, so I know we're freestyling this. I have a bunch of questions. Ken's our buddy from Wisconsin. He's got a question online, and I'm just going to try to grab some of these as we're talking. So he does a lot of bass fishing with a Texas rig, and he has a mean hook set that he can't stop doing. So he doesn't want to change the way he sets the hook. Now, trying to finesse drop shot Ned rig, braid to fluoro, I cannot stop breaking off on the hook set, even using up to 14-pound fluoro leader. Went back to using 10-pound Yozuri hybrid leader with better luck. What does Cortland have for me? So I'm going to try to answer this a little bit, Ken. A lot has to do with your rod and the action of your rod when you're setting the hook. That's probably the first thing that you have to look at. And it sounds like you have a couple. I need to know a little bit more. I'm assuming you're talking about a spinning rod. I can't see. I'm pretty aggressive too on a hook set. And I use, again, 5-pound braid most of the time, 5, 8, or 10, with normally an 8-pound fluoro leader.
But Travis, you do a pull set. As hard as you set the hook, he might be slacklining it. Like,
I see what you mean.
Right.
So when you have slack on that bite and you pick up that slack with your jerk, there is way too much. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, you'd have to get like
you do a really hard high pull set. So you tighten up that line and then you do pull hard, but it literally loads up the rod. So it's working for you. And I would venture to say use lighter rods than he's using on a spinning rod.
Sure. That could be it.
There's absolutely truth to that. Like we have an Instron machine at Cortland that we test all of our braid and products with, and you can make a fluoro or a mono or a braid break at different pound tests depending on the speed of that Instron. So the faster you pull that Instron versus the slower you pull that Instron, there's kind of a factor both of braid, fluoro, and mono, and any line you really lose. It's like I call it a stretch to failure ratio. So how much does that braid or that line stretch before it fails? And then you kind of factor in, you know, the speed at which you're doing that. So that definitely has something to do with it. Like you were saying, Eric, like the way you set the hook, Travis, or, you know, that drawn out stretch of setting the hook versus slacklining.
Yep.
You know, obviously the rod's going to have a lot to do with that too. So
no doubt. But I think a slack line, it's kind of like this. If you're ever snagged and you're not doing the bow and arrow technique, we've all done this. If you pull gently into the snag, you can push that line to way more breaking strength than if you pull it hard and jerk it. Like if you want to get it off there, wrap it around like a tuna guide's about to, you know, or where they get the billfish wrap on their arm and snap it hard, and you'll break your line versus pulling it gently. You'll pull forever.
Yes, I think that's probably a start, as well as your drag as well on the reel.
Yeah.
A lot of
things being equal, though, I think it's the slack line hook set.
Once you have your perfect setup and you feel comfortable with your rod and everything you're doing, you have to really determine how you want that drag set. I used to, and you'll see in my videos, guys, I used to set the hook and you would hear that drag, and I would have a lot of drag going on these fish. Now, last year, I really made an effort to have a tighter drag, only because, not because I lost fish, because I was sick of all these comments from you people saying I need to tighten my drag up. So I started to tighten my drag up. I would set the hook, and then I adjust my drag throughout the fight. Eric, I don't know if you do that.
I've done it.
But I'm constantly messing with that as I'm fighting a fish at times. You know, once you get it dialed in for the day or whatever, depending on what type of fishing you're doing, because every technique, as well as the size of fish, I think determines your drag setting for that particular situation. So you want to mess with that a little bit as well. I know M. Jones had a question as far as we're talking about braided line and the different colors that people use. He was asking how long that color actually holds up, and he said his was going good. I think I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this comment here. He's had it for about
the color fastness of the line.
How long does a color actually last on the braid? Mine's still strong after 3 months. I still have line from last year. The only time I need to change line is when my customers get it caught in the trolling motor. and that's when I have to put a new spool of line on. Full disclosure, I probably do it about a dozen times a year as well. Okay. Especially when you're live scoping. It happens. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, it happens.
I stuck a glide in a tree from the shore. It was like cooking, like the wind was blowing like 20, and I had a fish tracking it. And the waves, there was one little tip of this limb, man, and I nailed it, dude. Nailed it. Yeah. Got it back, though.
So I really think it stands up great. In fact, this year, I really love the high vis yellow. In the past, I had a lot of issues with different companies, braid, because
with fading.
Power Pro in particular, like I would buy it and it would just look nasty, a month later. And I'm going to do a couple videos in the future. One being how I actually spool my line. I'm doing something a little different this year because, of course, I haven't even started this project, but I'm going to get within the next week. I have to, because guiding starts here pretty quick. But rigging up all the new rods and reels for this year with fresh line. I actually bought a little line counter, which is going to help me determine exactly how much braid to put on, because a lot of times you don't have to fill a whole spinning rod with braid. You can use a backing to help you, get a couple different, I guess, reels out of that spool of line. I
wish there was a way to, like on your spinning reel, once you've got the perfect amount of backing on, how do I measure? Let's say I'm going to load a reel, and I know my size reel with 8-pound braid or 5-pound braid. I wish I knew how much backing to leave on so that I could put the optimum amount of line on and braid, so that I was being efficient. Same thing with fluoro or mono, whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't have that down to a science. I kind of eyeball it. I'm
Alpha
always
31
off.
says Suffix 832 color lasts for an hour.
An hour. Well, why does Cortland's color last so long? Because I've noticed it on Travis's rods. They look great. It's bright.
Yeah.
Listen, Brooks, I can't stress it enough because that's one of my biggest deals with line. Like, it really is perfect. Like, it's bright.
Super braid, like pretty much every braid that everyone's watching the show is fishing. It's a super braid, right? And there's different fibers of super braid that you can consider. There's a handful out there. We use Spectra. We find it's probably one of the best raw materials you can use to build a braid with. Those super braids, they don't soak dye, like they don't take dye. So that's why you get a lot of bleeding or fading from, brands out there. It doesn't, the dye actually doesn't soak into the braid like it would with, let's say, a Dacron fiber, right?
Yeah.
Soak up dye and it'll stay there forever. Super braids, they don't like dye. They don't take dye. They don't soak them. So every company has its own process at which they adhere the dye to. Cortland's is a little unique. We find what we do works better than most. Obviously, some dyes, they're going to be a little different than others. Your brighter dyes will act a little bit different than kind of your darker moss greens, your bronzes, your blues. It can vary on the size of the material too. So the way we dye, it's different when we're dyeing 5-pound yellow master braid to when we dye 200-pound yellow master braid.
Oh, wow.
We have upwards of 3 or 4 mixes of different mixtures for the same color spread out across a bunch of different sizes. So it's something that takes a lot of R&D. What we consider with our dye process, it's like I said, it doesn't soak in dye. So how do you get your color to adhere to a super braid without it bleeding all over a boat, bleeding all over your hands? Sure, braid will shed color a little bit initially. That's kind of normal with any brand, but it's how it retains that color over time. And you find that out quickly when you got a guy with like a $3 million offshore boat that's white on the inside and your braid bleeds all over his boat. You'll find out real quickly if your braid keeps its color or not. And trust me, we've learned over the years of doing that, and what we have nowadays, it's dialed. It lasts a very long time. I find it to be one of the best in the industry. And like you said, Travis, if you can kind of keep that same braid on that reel for long term, I mean, it saves you money. And if it's not fading and you're not getting wind knots and it's not kind of breaking down over time, it's really quality what you're paying for when it comes to Cortland, and that's really the difference.
Right on, man.
I feel you're priced very competitively with all the other braids out there. Like, it's not a super high price. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't priced out braid in a while, but I think it's pretty comparison to.
No, we're absolutely compatible. We compete. It's as far as the high end braid goes. I mean, we sell a premium product, and it's a base raw material that's made in the USA. Our product's braided in upstate New York. It's manufactured in upstate New York. It's spooled in upstate New York. It's boxed right in the facility that I work in every day. Everything.
Heck yeah, man.
I mean, you guys were there. There's no hiding what we do at Cortland. Nope. It's not coming in pre-done. It's done right there. So, I mean, you're paying for a true American-made product with a super high-quality baseline raw material, and we compete with the best of them in terms of price. Our marketing budget might be a little bit smaller than some of those big monsters out there. Our growth obviously is going to be a little bit slower, but we're super content with that. I mean, the amount of braid that we sold last year versus the year prior, I think we almost doubled the amount of braid that we sold, both in master braid and our hollow core. And it was a growth rate that we're very comfortable with, that we were able to sustain, and that we were able to fill all orders across the country. We never short shipped any customers, whether it was
incredible, man.
Yeah, retail, pro staff, or dealers. So the growth at Cortland last year was insane, but it was at a comfortable level where we were able to handle the business. I anticipate that to be the same this year. The last thing we want to do is short ship anybody.
Sure.
Because you're definitely not going to lose, retain those guys if you're short shipping them. So you guys met Nate at the plant this year.
Yep. He's the man.
Nate and I went to high school together. Nate is, he's a big help in our R&D department and our braid department. The dude's super fishy, he knows everything. But we actually purchased 40 new braiders last year that we set up in that braid department.
Holy moly.
We just purchased another 80 new braiders this year to maintain with the growth.
Wow,
and you guys saw the room. So
yeah, that's incredible.
We added almost 130 new braiders in the last literally less than a year. So
I'd like to see that whole factory humming, man. That'd be cool. Like when you're really spinning it out, man. There's 2 questions I want to get to on the hollow core braid and the flipping braid, which somebody asked. They're really curious about the flipping braid. Travis, have you tried it? Brooks, have you tried it when you're flipping? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Those are great questions. What I wanted to do, I just want to walk through some of the braids that I use, and we will get that. I mean, full disclosure, Eric, and you've been with me last year. I didn't do a whole lot of flipping. In fact, I used to, and I do, and I love it. Punching and flipping is one of my favorite ways to catch a largemouth. Okay.
Yeah. And the hollow core question I wanted to ask, this is for later when Travis wants to bring it up, was I had contemplated using hollow core, or is it because it floats, correct or not correct? Is there more flotation to a hollow core braid than not?
It definitely, with that hollow core construction, like we talked about before, Eric, it has tendencies to trap air.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what you're throwing.
I was going to be just exclusively throwing a frog with it. Moreover, is the hollow core braid made to put a leader into, like with the Chinese fingered pull? You could shoot line into a hollow core, right?
Totally. So we came up with that concept from our hollow core offshore fishing braid, which we sell, up to 300 pounds, 200 pounds. These guys are running 130, 200, 250 pound, 300 pound mono. You can't tie a knot and have it go through the guides of a rod when it's 300, 200 pound mono. So what the hollow core braid does is it opens up when you kind of press the braid against itself, and you can serve a leader up inside of that. And you can serve it up anywhere from 3 to 4 feet at most. And then when you draw that slack out, that tension of that braid around the mono or the fluoro, it basically bites down into that material. And it's like a finger trap puzzle, like you said.
That's so crazy.
Won't let go. So you can absolutely serve, a fluoro leader up inside the silent flipping braid and essentially have 0 knots in your connection. It allows you to fish a little bit of a longer leader if that's what you want to do with no knots. Or you can just tie a regular knot with it, for a knot.
That was I was thinking about that. But Travis, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to get that thought out. I'm going to grab a drink real quick.
I guess I'll try to make a point that unfortunately I wasn't able to do a lot of that type of fishing at all last year, and hopefully I can run into some opportunities where I'm able to. And in the comments here, a lot of guys are asking, so the pound test, the braid, and what I currently use for the most part, all of my medium light rods, and those are rods I'm going to use for drop shotting, Ned rigging, any small finesse plastic bait that's got a light weight. I use 5-pound Cortland master braid, and it's either going to be in high vis yellow or it's going to be straight white. And I decided to go with straight white for any type of horizontal retrieve through the water column, and any baits that I'm working on the bottom, drop shot, Ned. I want to be able to see my line. I really like high vis yellow. I know Eric's got a different opinion on that. You like, is it bronze or blue you prefer?
Blue.
See it better. And so whatever your eyes adjust to, but actually that white stands out very well above the water line as well. But why I think it's important with a horizontal presentation, not that, we use a long enough leader length that and I've caught plenty of fish in a pinch, and I grabbed a rod that had yellow Cortland master braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader to a swim bait that I was reeling through the water column. I still caught fish. So I think we overthink it, but at the same time, I don't know if that fish may see a weird yellow, and I don't even know if they can see yellow. I don't even know, Eric. Like, what does a fish know, or what do we know about fish?
Well, a lot of guys have been catching a lot of bass on yellow braid, so I don't think there's any concern about that.
But I do know, though, that I believe that if you look up from above, from a fish's standpoint, right? I don't know if I could talk to Mr. Smallmouth, he'd be like, yeah, when I bit that swim bait, I didn't see that braid because it blended in with the sky because it's more of a light color. And so that's why I decided to go that route. But at the same time, if you're throwing a horizontal bait through, water that's not crystal clear or has a lot of vegetation, I think green would be a perfect color to use for that. So I try to keep a handful of those 3 colors ready and available. I do like 8 or 10 on my medium-sized rods. Why? I don't know. I just do. I think for throwing a tube, I think for throwing some swim baits with my medium rods, that's just how I know what I have on my rods. So 5 or 8. And then there's other situations where if I'm dragging a football head, especially like on a spinning rod, I will step it up to 15 pound. And I just feel there's times, especially when you get around structure or wood, maybe has a shorter leader. I mean, Eric, you've seen this on, like, say, the Chesapeake Bay, or you're flipping docks, or you're working a finesse bait around the docks. They'll get twisted up in that stuff, and I just feel like having a little bit heavier braid helps me out. It's more of a confidence thing. I've caught plenty of big largemouth on 5-pound Cortland braid around docks. Like, you're not breaking that. It's rare to have a snap off from just straight braid. Your leader's going to break before even a 5-pound braid will actually break. At least that's my experience. Now, I don't go too much further on my spinning rods, but when we're talking bait casters, you're going to see me use the 50, 65, and higher, especially for top waters like spooks, whopper ploppers, as well as frogging, pitching, flipping, those types of scenarios. Carolina rigging, I'm using heavy braid as well. Now, the benefits of that light 5-pound master braid on my spinning rods, I'm able to get that bait down quick. There's not as much resistance in the water. And when I'm dropping on a fish with my electronics, I want that bait to get down super fast. I feel it helps with line twist, and I also feel that it just allows that bait to work more natural through the water. People freak out. I'm trying to change the game here. They used to think 15-pound braid was thin diameter and light. If you're impressed with 15 and you feel like you can work your bait and make long casts, go down to 5 or 8 and give that a try.
Try 8 first, man, so they don't really freak out. 8's nice, man. It's a nice compromise between 15 and 5.
Yes. But I'm telling you, I've caught, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of fish on 5-pound braid and without an issue.
I've seen plenty of your catches, man.
So that's where I'm at
behind you, so both work.
When it comes to those. Now, we do have a lot of questions here about what type of braid, because the master braid's great for those applications, like a topwater spook, but you also have a silent flip, is what it's called. That's what I use when I'm flipping and punching. And I wish I could count on one hand how many fish I caught punching this year, but it's been poor, but hopefully I can get into that more next year. But it's great for that. I know you've had a lot of people here in the comments, and guys have a lot of success with that braid. What is your most popular? Is it the master braid, like for bass fishing?
By far, master braid by far. I mean, guys still flip and punch with master braid, the 50 and 65-pound test. The silent flip is very, technique specific. Obviously, Eric stole the show tonight with the whole hollow core chat. This whole comment section is blowing up with hollow core now, which is fine. Because
I'm fascinated by it. I've been waiting a year to ask you on a show about this.
It is unique. It's a 16 carrier braid. Most braids out there that guys are using, either 4 or 8 or, somewhere in the middle, maybe +1 if you're doing some of that stuff. But 4 and 8, are kind of your general categories for carriers on braid. But the silent flip is a 16 carrier. It has a hollow construction, so it does lay flat on rod guides. So that whole, that whine, I call it whining noise that you get when you're retrieving in, a plug bait, lure, whatever you want to call it, on your bait caster or your spin reel. The silent flip, I mean, it truly is silent. That hollow construction that lays flat in rod guides, It's definitely a unique approach when you're flipping and punching. Like you said, Eric, that construction does trap air. So if you're just straight frogging with it, it's going to float a little bit better. I mean, the amount of weight you're using when you're really trying to punch weed mats and stuff, it's obsolete. You know, like, yeah, that braid will float if you're throwing a frog. It's not going to deter the braid from sinking. If you're
when it's got an 1 3/4 ounce weight on it, like I was flipping down a gunner's.
You're not going to find
the mat.
This jig isn't getting down because my braid's floating, right? If that was the case, we'd be on to something.
Yeah, I'm going in to the
real
mat
quick, because I know guys are anxious here about purchasing braid and stuff like that. We talk. We are going to offer a little discount code, but it's going to give you free shipping. I'm going to put that in right now. Well, it looks like there wasn't a space between that. It's just free ship, right?
Yeah, it's just free ship. So that's what we're offering all listeners tonight. Go to CortlandLine.com, see what you need. If you're interested in Cortland, grab one spool. If you're respooling for 8 bait casters, grab whatever you need. Use code FREESHIP at checkout. You'll get free shipping no matter where you are in the country, no matter how big or small your order is. It's the least we can do for all you listeners out there that are dedicated to Travis. Obviously, it helps us out. And listen, if you guys have never tried it, it's a great way to throw a 150-yard spool of 5 or 8 pound yellow master braid, like Travis said. Give it a shot. If you guys like master braid, even better. Load up, use the code. It's available to everything on the website. It expires tomorrow night at midnight on Tuesday. So if that helps everyone, fantastic.
And if someone's interested, I think like a 300-yard spool of braid is perfect. You can probably is good for what, 2 or 3 reels?
If you use backing, like you said, Travis, I mean, depends on what your technique is. You know what I mean? What you're using it for. If you're casting swim baits or crankbaits, a longer distance, you're going to chew up a little bit more braid off that spool. If you're doing some smaller kind of short range drop shotting, or maybe you're just flipping, you know what I mean? You can extend a 300-yard spool to multiple reels if you spool it up and you have that perfect amount of backing on there. Like Eric says, you can divvy that up on reels. So you just got to be smart about, how much you're going to be using given the technique. Like I was listening to those guys on Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, they put backing on all their customers' reels. I think that's, sure, they could go out and fill up a customer's spinning reel with 150 yards of 5 pound master braid, but do you need 150 yards? No. I find a lot of the guys that use Cortland, they'll use stuff for, 2-3 months. They'll strip some off, use the rest. They'll flip it around and use the backside that never saw daylight for the last 3 or 4 months. So you got to be unique. I mean, trust me, I'd like to sell all. I wish everyone spooled 150 yards right on the spin reel. But I want to be honest with guys. It's just you got to be smart about what technique you're putting your reels towards. How much distance you need off of that reel, and then divvy up those spools accordingly.
And here's another thing. I just want to make this comment. It's made right here in the USA, New York. It's what I do. It's smallmouth country up there, you guys. You're supporting everything we're all about when it comes to fishing. If you do purchase, Cortland Master Braid, you don't give out discounts only because you want to keep it fair with your dealers, right? I mean, that's
the biggest 100%. So Master Braid is an item that we enforce full retail for. It makes it an even playing field across the game for all retailers, all dealers. It just helps, it keeps the integrity of the product up there. It's a premium quality product. We want people to, have a fair playing field across, from the small mom and pop shops to the big dogs that sell online all the time.
Very cool.
It's an easy way to police things. So that's why we don't do any discounts, even if, for your special show, Travis, the best we can do is free shipping. And I hope people, appreciate that.
That's awesome, man.
Here's another thing. All the viewers and listeners, if you have a tackle store that's local to you that you shop at a lot and they don't carry Cortland braid, ask them about it. Have them reach out. I mean, you guys are always looking for new retail locations to get your product in, and let's just help together grow Cortland. Why won't you stand behind? I can't say enough about it, man. I think you're great as far as representing the company, the team that you have behind you, and just the whole backstory of the company is great. It reminds me of like St. Croix Rods, you know, family, just locally owned. I mean, from Wisconsin, and I love New York. It's just, that's my spiel for tonight.
No, it's great, man. You know,
good job, Travis. Good job.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Travis. And you know, the last time I came on here, I didn't know what to expect. I feel a little more comfortable having met both of you guys, and obviously been able to chat a lot more. But what I was interested is the last time I was on, I went back and watched myself, which I hate doing on YouTube, and I had the chat up, and you're reading all these comments that I did. The thing is, the first show I was on, I had the private chat up, which is me and Eric, and I had no idea that there was a whole nother comment section. So when I watched it on YouTube, I was blown away. You know,
crazy, right?
That were throwing love at Cortland and Master Braid, and it took the attention off watching myself and listening to myself again. So I thought it was pretty neat. But yeah, I love it, man. I appreciate our relationship and meeting you guys, and you know, the promotion of the braid's great. There's a lot of hardworking people at Cortland. I'm super pumped that you guys got to see the plant. It's really special. Like I said, the last show I was on, I was born in Cortland, New York. I grew up right up the road. So, you know, being a fisherman, being an angler, loving fishing, and being able to work at a fishing company in the same town I grew up in, it's super special to me. And like the growth and the business is in really good shape. I'm pumped to see it succeed the way it is, and I want to see it grow even more than it is today.
That's awesome, man. Cortland was the first fly line I ever threw, man. When I was a kid, learning to fly fish, bro.
Almost everybody.
It was awesome, man. Like a line, like a yellow floating line, and yellow was the first one that I threw.
Yeah, I don't know what yellow. We'll change that. I don't know, but yellow, like Travis was saying, I don't know. Maybe it's Travis's color. Yellow is okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, man, that takes me way back to my fly rod days, man. Watching a bluegill eat a bumblebee
we'll
fly,
get back out. Maybe we'll bring some fly rods on the boat up at the Black River.
Dude, I've got a bunch of sages, man. I would love to go fly fishing with you, man. I'd love to hire you.
I definitely want to do that. You invited me to do some steelhead fishing. Timing just wasn't right.
I've never caught a steelhead, Brooks. I'm sorry, Travis. I'm trying to book a trip here. Can you just don't interrupt me for a second? I know I interrupt you a million times, but this is my moment with Brooks.
Okay.
Can you please help me catch a steelhead?
We can do that this year. You just got to make it during a weekday so I can get out of the office.
I'm totally into the weekday trip.
Brooks, what on average? I'm not gonna like hold you to this, but what's a good number of steelhead you can catch in a day?
Good
number 4 to 6. In a day on a good day.
I'd be happy with one.
Different. Yeah, I mean, I think 5 or 6 years ago there was a huge crash in the Steelhead.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys remember, but maybe it was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. We had back-to-back winters up here in New York that were just insanely brutal. Lake Ontario hadn't frozen 100 years. It froze completely over twice, 2 years in a row.
Holy shit.
So, yeah, they think the Steelhead, which their normal source of bait is the alewives in Lake Ontario, which I'm sure you guys are aware of that. It kind of crushed those year classes. So they think a lot of those Steelhead transition to gobies, which that there's just an insane amount.
What?
And it's like, a human, if they eat salad, fruits, and veggies every day, and all of a sudden they start eating McDonald's and Arby's, it kind of depleted their immune system. And
what if they stopped drinking White Claw and went to club soda? Would that deplete their
I
immune
love
system?
White Claw, so I don't know about that, but so when they entered the river that year, that second year after the freeze, you would catch them. The steelhead fishing was phenomenal. Like you were doing 8, 9, 10 steelhead a day, and you'd release them, they'd swim away, and then about 30 seconds later, they'd go belly up and they died. And the whole river was littered with dead steelhead, like it would be dead salmon. Yeah, and it was super strange. A lot of people were blaming this guy, blaming that guy, bait guys, fly guys, you name it. But they ended up having basically like a thiamine deficiency from the switch in what they were eating.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so the population, although the majority of the population is helped from the hatchery in the salmon river, they stock them when they're little tiny fingerlings. So it can always kind of recoup, but it basically crashed 5 years ago.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think 6, 7 years ago before that crash, I mean, you could walk across steelhead in the month of October. When I mean walk across them, you could put a piece of pink bubblegum on a hook and catch like 8 a day. It was nutty.
That's great.
Now you got to earn them. You know, if you want to go out there and get steelhead, trust me, there's some good days, there's some tough days, but yeah, you come in late October, you know, you can, you know, if you get dialed in, you catch, you know, a handful in a day. You can have some better days, you can have some slower days, but it's just like everything, right? It's not like it used to be. And I'm surprised, only being 34 years old, that I can see that place be what it was and then what it is today. And again, there's natural reproduction and there's some artificial stocking going on, but it was very unique, and I've never seen so many dead steelhead on the side of the river. It was kind of sickening, to be honest.
Wow, man, craziness, man. Do you noodle for them, or do you like?
So I'll do both. So I mostly fly fish. So in October, the water's still a little bit warm.
What are we throwing? What are we throwing? 6 weight, 8 weight?
Mostly 7s and 8s.
Okay.
But those fish kind of gravitate towards the more bubbly, oxygenated water when it's a little bit warmer. Okay. They can swim faster. They're not as lethargic like they in the wintertime.
Yep.
When it gets to the wintertime, when they move to those slower, deeper pools, you know, we'll float fish for them. We'll bottom out for them with spin gear. But in the fall, you know, we'll fish in deep, heavy, fast water, and it's easy to get more repetitions at them with the fly rod. You don't have to be a fly angler to know how to whip fly line around and kind of bottom bounce for steelhead. It's very basic and straightforward. So there's a few techniques you can do it, but the fall's pretty neat, man. And they're full of piss and vinegar when you hook them.
Oh man, the chromies are nuts.
Fish lives at, you know, 200-300 feet of water, you know, during the middle of summer, and then they come into 3 feet of water and you hook them. They do not want to be landed. I mean, it's equivalent to hooking a 8, 9, 10 pound, you know, smallmouth bass in a river. It's just,
wow.
They're tough, man. They're one of the hardest fighting fish, you know, next to a smallmouth as far as freshwater stuff in upstate New York.
That's incredible.
Where are these 10-pound smallmouth you're talking about?
Or where you guide every year in St. Lawrence.
Can we catch them? Oh, that's awesome.
That'd be the day. That's your new goal, 10 pounds.
What kind of flies? Last question on steelhead. What kind of flies do you?
We just throw general egg patterns. I mean, the steelhead, I fish the salmon river almost exclusively. Those fish really gravitate towards light pink, peach, hot pink, some blues, anything small. You know, you can throw 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter beads. You know, pretty. They're not super smart. You know what I mean? They can be smart once they're in the river for a little bit while, but when they come right in the river and they're fresh, they're pretty dumb. The only thing that really throws them off, you get some funky barometric pressure days, dirty water. That river definitely fishes a little bit better when it's clean. So, I mean, you could keep it pretty basic with, you know, a handful of colors. You know, usually 8-pound fluoro leader is pretty standard. Yeah, you're gonna get busted off, but they're a little leader shy. But the faster the water, the dumber they are. That's the way I always keep it.
Sure. Cool, man. Thanks.
Very good. Wow. So, what's next?
You mean at Cortland?
This comment section is going nuts. I'm glad I discovered this last year.
It's like a whole new show.
I was like over here talking to myself last year. Like,
it's a show within a show.
We're missing Alex. His flight lands any minute. He says he's going to jump on when he does. But I got a phone call from Riz from BTC, from Ike Live. Yeah, Riz from BTC.
Riz from BTC. Who did you get a call from?
Riz called this morning. He's like, yo, where you at? Our flight ain't till like 5 or 6. We want to go fishing. We heard you got your boat down here. I'm like, man, I'm halfway across the state already, dude, you know? So I don't know what their plans were, but I guess he got in late tonight and he was going to jump on. David Brown wants to know some of the Cortland pros. Who do you have representing your company?
Obviously Travis Manton, first and foremost.
Hello.
He's been an awesome success for us in the last couple of years. Fred Romanis from MLF. Got a bunch of, you know, it just depends on the fisheries. Great guy.
You have guys from all over different species.
Yeah. So that's what I was getting at. We had phenomenal muskie guide and captain Spencer Berman out of Lake Sinclair in Michigan, which is also a sick smallmouth fishery. I'm sure you've been over there. He targets walleye, smallmouth, and then muskie, depending on the season. We got a handful of killer pros down in Florida, a bunch of awesome inshore, offshore guys.
Nice.
So, you know, it really just depends on, you know, really the species, which is the greatest thing about master braid, you know, and braid in general is it doesn't matter if you're in freshwater or saltwater. We got guys all over the place. I mean, I could go down the list as far as pro guys, but, you know, as far as guys that people recognize on this conversation, yeah, definitely you, Travis. I mean, that's been a big help. Fred's been on our team for the last few years. I'm sure we'll grab a few more guys, you know, over the years. But like I said, we're really a small company with a small marketing budget compared to some of those giants out there that, you know, are owned and have other 16 companies along with them. So
that's a question I have. I mean, do you have discussions, meetings about competing or being relevant in the industry, and how? I was just thinking, like, when I was down at the Classic, I'm like, there should be a Cortland booth here. Why not?
Sure. I mean, absolutely. Like I said before, I mean, we've just blown the doors off the braid production in the last couple of years. So we're growing at, you know, a comfortable pace right now that we're content with. And, you know, as we slowly get in, you know, to the bass market more and more, we'll be at those shows. You know, those type of meetings, I mean, they don't just happen once a year. Those are kind of quarterly, once a month. You know, we need to manage and make sure that we're spending our money wisely. And Cortland, you know, it's a big company. I mean, it's not just braid, right? It's hollow core tuna braid. It's fly fishing that we have 2,500 SKUs of. So, you know, you look at some of the brands at some of those shows, and that's all they do. They just sell crankbaits, right? They just sell braid. They just sell fluoro. They just sell rods. Our company is super diverse. So where you might not see us in one aspect, you might go to some fly show with your uncle and there's Cortland, or you might go to an offshore saltwater tuna show and there's Cortland. And then, yeah, eventually down the road, you'll see Cortland at a bass show. So, you know, we're spread pretty thin as far as all the shows we need to go to, but that's definitely on the list. I don't know. Let's talk about putting that together for next year. I'm down. Yeah. We actually have a braider that we travel with that we set up at the booth, and it's like a laser beam. It sucks people right in when they see it. They've never seen, you know, most people have never seen braid made before. I mean, if you watch some of our promo videos we have out there, you can see how it's made. But yeah, when we bring that to the show, guys love it. So I'm all for it. Like I said, get me out of the office on a weekday. I'll be down there.
Right? Nice.
Just got to find a babysitter.
Oh,
Alex is up for the challenge.
No, I don't know. He's not ready.
I got two crazy kids.
Oh, man.
Be a good test. He needs some training.
Maybe. Wade's Current Ice joins the conversation. He wants to know who represents Canada from Cortland. I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple of guys up there in Canada.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think it's in Quebec. We actually have French Canadian on the back of our master braid boxes so that we can sell into the province. I think that is a requirement up there as far as the language on products. So I will I tell you what, I'm gonna find that out, and can I reply to this thread tomorrow?
Yeah, once you post it up on YouTube, you can reply.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some homework and I'm gonna figure that out. And but I know I know we're in Quebec, Ontario, and I'll figure out who those guys are that go through.
Huh? Does Cortland have a trade symbol? What does that mean?
Like a trademark or registered trademark?
I guess. Yeah.
Trade symbol. I don't know. I know we have a trademark.
Sure. The crown.
Crown. Yeah, the Crown City.
I love it.
That's what it's after. Cortland's called the Crown City. I think it's like the highest city in elevation in New York State, maybe. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically a city. There's a lot of claims in Cortland, right? It's pretty small. We can claim stuff. People won't know the difference.
Cortland is small. That's why I love it up there, man.
It's cool. It's a great place to live. I mean, winter sucks, to be honest with you, unless you got a snowmobile and you like to ice fish. But
it was pretty brutal this winter, right? It was cold.
January, you know, the whole month of January was right on par. It was cold, it's crappy. February, same thing, but December, fairly warm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
we hit 67 here yesterday. I was
Wow.
in shorts. I was in shorts, flip flops.
Yes.
Kids are all playing in the mud. Snow is gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly hot. The windows were open. I think we set a record high yesterday in Syracuse.
Dang, crazy.
Cool.
I'm totally down with.
There's still a lot of ice up there, though.
Oh yeah, like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna die if you go ice fishing. I wouldn't go on it, but there's still a lot of ice. I think
there's some guys out. There's some guys gearing up to get out there.
There will be a 4-wheeler or a snowmobile that goes through Oneida Lake in the next 24 hours. I promise.
Holy shit!
It's just those guys just don't learn. I don't get it.
Wow.
I'm not sure what it is, but they love catching 1-pound bluegill and risking their life to do it.
That's nuts.
God
nope.
bless.
Not interested.
It's just that one. It's not worth it.
No.
It is fun though.
Get one of them float suits. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's
No
usually a few times a year. You know, if you're losing crankbaits and drop shot rigs in Oneida, it could be to a 4-wheeler or a snowmobile. That's
crazy.
My plan is when I get established up there in that zone at some point here, I'm going to run a hovercraft and do a little late ice fishing and duck hunting with this beast.
That'd be duck hunting. There you go.
Absolutely.
Late ice fishing. Yeah, you got to move up here. Then we can hang out more.
Yeah, I know.
He's coming.
Instead of just driving by the plant, and not getting off the exit, and saying hi.
Yeah.
You're always too busy. We'll get a hold of my sister. She'll find you some land.
I tried. We're working on it.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You too, Eric. Get out of Maryland.
You
live there long enough.
Couch. All I need is a couch, bro. He can attest to that.
Yes.
I'm a couch man.
From what it sounds, Trav's gonna build you a cabin out behind his house for you.
I'm gonna have a little private guest room for Eric. We're gonna have he'll be set up nice.
An outhouse, no indoor plumbing.
Nice. If something happens to me, would you just put the June bug crankbait somewhere on the wall? Make sure it's in the will for you, man.
Yes. Yes.
Just somewhere on the wall. Just part of me's in there.
I can't wait to get back up there. We're gonna head up in May for sure. Eric, you'll be joining me up at Will's for a little early season. But as soon as that ice gets out, you know, everyone thinks that smallmouth bass is closed until the 3rd week in June, but that's just 2 counties, Jefferson and St. Lawrence.
No
the
kidding.
rest of Lake Ontario is wide open.
Why are those closed up until then?
Man, it's
Fawning.
Well, they want to try to protect the fishery, but
Sure.
I really would love to have a catch and release season instead of no fishing at all. Like, you are not allowed to even think about targeting a smallmouth.
That's the way it used to be in New York State in general. Until, you know, a handful of years ago. Do you find when that opens, Travis, when you're up there in those counties, you ever find fish still on beds after that point?
Oh, sure. That's the problem. Everyone's like excited to go on opening day. So for the most part, I'm going to make a generalization here and hopefully not get in trouble. Most anglers that are passionate about bass fishing, they don't keep bass.
Sure.
But when you have a law or you have something that's like opening day of fishing is the 3rd week in June, well, everybody in their pontoon boat and 16-foot tiller, they're going to go out and they're going to go fishing, right? They're going to throw their night crawlers in a bobber or their little Mr. Twister, and they're going to jack on some 4 and 5 and 6 pound smallmouth that are up shallow and relatively easy to catch. And they're going to be like, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life. And my 8-year-old is, you know, telling me I need to keep it to show mom. And they put it in the basket and fry them up. And I think that's what as people that are passionate and want to keep the fishery healthy, I think we need to talk more about how critical and how the growth is, how a 5-pound smallmouth is 15 plus years old. And we need to limit the amount of guides, not guides out of a bass boat, but guides out of a tuna boat, salmon boat. When the salmon fishing isn't popping, they're out there with crayfish. filling the coolers full of smallmouth. I think that type of conversation needs to be had. Canada just recently made it a special season up there where you can fish in the months of April on the Canadian side, as long as it's catch and release. So they're kind of moving forward with allowing people. It's such a short season to fish. Let us go there. Why not let us fish first ice out and take advantage of all that great fishing, as long as we're not keeping it.
Do you find
as much as I love tournament fishing, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we didn't start tournaments until July.
Post spawn, like completely post spawn. You find that there's still a lot of fish on beds up there.
You will, if you have a tournament within the first 2 weeks of the Open, you have to be looking at them to win.
Yeah, I just, in general, that water's so much colder, right? I mean, it's Lake Ontario. The body of water is massive. It takes a lot longer to heat up. So to me, I feel like those fish would spawn maybe on time or a little bit later. If anything, you know, March, April, May, I mean, I'm sure those fish are kind of kicking around some beds from time to time, but they're not full spawn mode like they are in, you know, June or later. And, you know, I don't know the fishery that well, but it's just, it's kind of the same thing that we dealt with trout fishing in New York State. This year, they just opened up trout fishing, inland trout fishing, to year-round catch and release.
Okay.
But you can, opening day, April 1st, if you want to keep them. And it's the same thing as you get an opening day out there, some kid dunks a night crawler in a hole that fish hasn't seen anything in the last 6 months since it's been open, right? Sure. It's going to eat the first thing that swims by its face. Yeah. That thing ends up in a frying pan or in someone's freezer until they throw it out, right? So
listen, I'm not perfect. I remember growing up in Winneconne, and I had a friend that their parents lived on Lake Winneconne, and I would ride our bikes there, and I would throw a chartreuse and white size 5 fat wrap off his dock and catch these 4 and 5 pound smallmouth. And I was so proud of these fish. I wanted to take them home to show my parents when they got home from work. You know what I mean? Like, I killed some fish back then.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing wrong with keeping some fish. It just, like you said, just people got to be educated about what you're doing. There's, I know a lot of the charter captains that you're talking about. I mean, they'll come back to, Henderson Harbor and pin up, 16 smallmouth bass on a pegboard. And it's like, if you're going to eat them, that's fine, but how many times are you gonna do that, with right? That's just one charter captain doing it. And it adds up, and those bass take a long time to grow. That fishery obviously is managed pretty well, but then there's sides of that business that, that need to be probably looked at a little bit better. It's definitely one of the best bass fisheries in the world. Honestly, it is. I mean, with the size of the fish, the quantity of the fish, I mean, it's got to be one of the best bass fisheries in the world.
It has to be the best. Thank you to the Goby.
It'd be hard to say the best.
Thank you, Mr. Goby.
All Great Lakes fisheries, every Great Lake is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I wonder, I've heard a lot about the muskie up there in St. Lawrence. It's epic muskie fishery. And I heard it's kind of tweaked a little bit as far as, the amount of muskie in there. And I think it has something to do with the amount of gobies that are in there. So I just wonder, everything's got to come to an end, right? Every great thing's got to come to an end. How long has that fishery been like that? How long can those smallmouth
like that for many years? How long? That's an argument that the charter boats could have, though, too.
Yeah,
They've been doing this for 20 years, yet there's still huge bags of fish out there. So
no, it makes sense. I just, they're obviously, like Eric's saying, the gobies are they're prolific in that lake, and they're just gorging themselves on it. And it's just what happens when those kind of fade out, or those kind of, it just seems. The numbers up there and the size of those fish, it's absolutely incredible. So I don't know, if you're up there, man, take advantage while you can.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, without the gobies, what kind of fishery would it be?
They got to eat something else, but right now they're they're getting fat quick. So
gobies are there by
while
the
you can.
millions.
So what month?
Millions.
What change of the subject here, because we are going to wrap this up a little bit. I have not slept since Thursday morning of last week, and so I do want to try to get a little bit of sleep tonight. You think I'm going to be late for a Mercury takeoff, Eric? No.
So you just decided not to sleep.
I just when I get back and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I got to be up at 4, I am not laying down.
I hear you, man. What'd you do? Just walk around the room?
I go down to the lobby, grab a coffee, and just kind of sit there and wait.
Gotcha. Smart man.
Yeah.
I mean, except for staying up till 3. But anyway, go ahead.
It's not. Yeah. It's
not optional. It's kind of required. You're there. I get it.
Well, it depends who you run with. I run with the Power Pole boys. You know.
The Power Pole boys. Oh, they're the crew that keep it going.
Fault. It's their fault.
I gotcha. Did they hook a charging system up to your head? That's how he does it.
The Power Pole charge.
Yeah, man. Keeps you going all night.
There's always that one crew in the industry that, like, when you roll with those guys at night at a show or something, or you're like, oh, those are the Power Pole boys. Like, you want to go out for a good time, like,
it's them.
There's certain guys, like, same thing in the fly industry, same thing in the sport industry. It's just like, there's guys where, like, if you got a meeting tomorrow morning, you do not go out with those guys, you know, or if you want to go have a good time, figure out where they're going and roll with it. But
the Power Pole boys, we're rolling with the Power Pole.
I remember I think they were on your show the week after I was on last.
Okay. Yeah.
And I can read someone like a
book. But they were pretty calm. They were pretty calm.
No, but I could tell those guys get it. They get after it.
Oh yeah.
That's nice.
They get after it.
Hey, you got to have a crew when you're down there.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Brooks, it's completely off topic, but so Travis had somebody. He was down in Florida. He went live and had a guy that's a kayaker, Chad.
Oh
Chad,
yeah, Chad. Yep.
Yeah. So he was talking about using a piece scrap of fly line, hollow, obviously floats, right? All fly line floats, right? Except when it's sinking.
Sure.
So he cuts a little piece off, sticks it in the back of a Senko to get the tail to float up. So anyway, send us all your scrap fly line. We want to try it.
I got so much scrap fly line.
We just need one little bundle of scrap fly line, bro. I want to try this technique and see if it works.
Yes.
He just says cut a little section off, make one edge sharp, and then stick it in the back of a Senko, and it'll float up for you. Are you talking now, Travis? Who are you actually talking to? I think I was still talking. I couldn't hear what you said. What did you say? Start over.
Nothing. We're good.
I thought you were talking to somebody else all of a sudden in the room.
No,
oh,
we're fine.
What were you saying?
Nothing.
All right, listen. So, CortlandBraid.com.
You need some sleep, bro.
What is it? CortlandLine.com.
CortlandLine.
This is what happens when you hang out with the Power Pole boys too much.
Cortland.com.
Cortland.com? I don't. Maybe the.
Is that where you've been ordering your line from?
Yeah.
The order didn't show up.
CortlandLine.com. Use the code ship free or whatever it is.
Free ship. Use code free ship.
Free ship. Brooks is only going to keep up for a day, even though most of our subscribers that can't watch the live are going to see this on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Tell you what, we'll keep it up for a week.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of decisions I got to make when you don't answer your phone, Travis. I got to just, I got to make a decision. I'm like, I got to put this up for a day.
Okay, well, he's
busy. He's busy rolling with the Power Pole boys. Do not bother him during the classic. He's got
Brooks. You don't see my story.
Like bar hopping at night.
Instagram because you would have known this.
I
dude
do.
Was busy today. You
I
called me.
I see your stories. You were hanging out with the Mercury crew the other day. There's foam fingers or something. You were what was that? I look at all your stuff.
Here, Alex goes. Just landed. I'll be on around 9:30. Well, we're wrapping this thing up, Alex.
Enjoy your night off, Alex.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll leave it up for a week. Use code free ship. We'll leave it
outstanding, man.
Very good.
I'm totally down with that. I want your guys to capitalize if they watch this over the next 5 days while they're sitting in the office.
Let me know in the comments too. Who's used Cortland braid, and let me know like what you think. I'd love to hear. I know a lot of our
There was just a comment there. Jack B. Travis taught me how the 15-pound train. Stuck on the 5-pound master braid for finesse swim baiting.
Nice.
Sick. That's not a good testimonial. I don't know what is.
True.
You can cast a finesse swim bait about a mile, even on 8-pound.
Yeah.
Step down to 5-pound with a 7.5-foot freaking G Loomis freaking Conquest, and just thank me later with a 3,000.
A lot's got to do with the flex of the rod, though, right, Travis?
Oh, dude,
running 5-pound, you can't just run any old stiff spin rod. I mean, it's
right.
you got to kind of pair them together.
Mine's a medium light, Brooks.
Hey, speaking of that, Eric, I just want to make a statement. Working the St. Croix booth, there is so many anglers, and I overlook this because I always want the best of the best. But there is the lower end St. Croix, like whether it be the Bass X or the new tournament series, or even the Victory rods, which I caught a few on today. Those rods the price point are more reasonable for most anglers, and the fact that there's so many different models in that there's an application for everything. And when we're talking about matching it with braid, and I had so many different conversations with people, even at the booth, like we would get into the rod and we talk about what application, and they would want to know the reels, and they talk about the line. And there was a handful of guys that actually used master braid that we were kind of in those discussions last week at that booth, and they were very impressed with it. These are guys that are like non-smallmouth anglers too, guys that fish largemouth at down here in the Carolinas and whatnot. I mean, it's not just smallmouth either. I want to make that clear. There's a lot of different applications for that thin diameter braid, and pairing it with the right rod is totally the key. Like,
dude, you ought to publish like the Super 7 with the Cortland Master Braid line match to the great value priced St. Croix rod.
Victory rod, yeah.
The Victory rod. This is what you need if you're going to co-angle and you want to get started. This is what you should try to achieve as your budget allows.
Sure.
Call it the Super 7.
Yeah.
For like, because not everybody can have 70 rods, right?
Right. Look at this guy.
Hey.
What are you, rollerblading?
So here's my situation. So I parked in the parking lot at the airport. I didn't realize it was like 10 football fields big, and I didn't take a picture.
Oh, shit.
So I'm walking around in a 30-degree weather with shorts on trying to find my truck.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
Security.
Brodus, how was your experience at the Classic, though? Come on.
I liked it a lot. My main takeaway was just how fast that it went. But, I had a good time. I like meeting everyone in person finally, got off the Zoom. But, yeah, it was great. Got to hang out with Travis, all the BU guys. Got to meet a lot of new people. And it was successful for all the companies that I was trying to help succeed. So I'm
That's
happy
awesome,
with
Al.
that. And looking forward to next year. And I think it's in Knoxville next year. So should be fun.
Nice.
Great. Sweet. Well, I'm glad you could jump on. We're going to wrap this up. Go find your vehicle, man. Get home.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next week if I don't freeze to death out here.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you.
Alex, they usually have a courtesy vehicle that can help you locate it, man. Call the airport. They'll send somebody out, a search party.
That's probably a good idea, Eric. I might have to take advantage of that.
They do that in the parking lots. You are not the first person to not recognize the difference between day and night 4 days later after running with the Power Pole boys and Travis and BTC on one crazy ride, because they called me on their phone and did a video. I have no idea what anybody said in that truck ride.
I don't either.
Exactly.
All right, well, good catching up with you guys. I'll be on next week.
All right, Alex, man. Good luck, brother.
See
you guys.
Well, that was nice of him to jump on.
Heck yeah, man. What a crew.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments wants to know where they can find, where was that? They're looking for something.
What?
There's a flipping braid on the website.
Yeah, John Mango just ordered the silent flip in 50 and 65 pound Brooks tonight.
Nice.
Thank you, John. I think you're gonna like it.
So you can find you go to the website and then you hover over the top bar that says sport fishing. If you hover over that, you can find silent flip under the braid or bass fishing categories. It's under both of those.
Very good.
Man, it's killer, man. Your fan group, it's nice coming on to a live show, trying to talk braid. You know, what I've heard in the past is Cortland's the best braid no one's ever heard about. And, you know, I'm cool with that for right now.
That's right. Because
it's not going to last much longer. Like I said, we can only grow so fast, but
sure,
your fan base, I mean, it's nice to feel loved with people that.
Dude, these people are unreal. I am
like,
so fortunate to have the following I have, and I experienced that at the Classic this past week. Like, it's weird. Like, I get it. I did fish on the Elites. I signed autographs back in the day, but walking through the arena and people just like flagging you down for pictures is pretty cool, you know?
No, it's neat, man. I like to see how many people are fishing the braid. It's awesome. Yeah, trust me, I know when you did that live feed from the New England Fishing Expo, I think it was like a high of 4 degrees up here. I just kept checking in on Facebook all the time. You were like, dude, there's a line waiting to shake your hand out there. That's why I texted you. I'm like, bro, you're famous out there.
Yeah. I just try to help people catch more fish, man, and speak the truth about the industry. That's going to be a whole nother topic. I'm sick of what I see out there, man.
Stay focused on what you do, because guess what? Talking about that,
I'm not bashing other people, but I'm to that point where it just bothers me. A conversation needs to be had.
You mean on social media, YouTube?
I love these sponsor hounds, man.
Trust me, I deal with it every day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They all want, like, do it because you love it. Like, Brooks, if you didn't give me a discount online, I'd still buy your freaking product. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it should be. I wouldn't go look for another line company because, now I'm going to go over to this brand. No.
It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to us. You know what I mean? Trust me, we have guys, ambassadors, pro staff that we take care of them with free product. But guess what? Once a month or once every 2 months, I see them jump on and order stuff. They don't tell me that they ordered stuff. They just go on and they, you know, when they're like, you know what, I'm not going to ask for something for free. And it makes me want to take care of those guys even more.
Sure.
And I've been in the industry, you know, for 10 years. You think the braid side's bad? You should jump on the fly side as far as guys wanting free stuff, you know.
Oh, wow.
They're like, oh, well, I'll tag you in my Instagram post. I'm like, bro, my daughter tags me in Instagram. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. It's just, there's certain guys out there, and I can read through the lines, you know, that are very, you know, honest and meaningful, and they work hard, and you know, I appreciate that. And you know, it might take a little conversation back and forth for me to take care of those types of people. But yeah, there's just too many, I don't know, freeloaders out there in the industry.
But it's actually at the higher level too. Like the trust. I just saw a comment here. Like, people look for advice. Where are they getting it from? When they want to know, when they want to experience a good time on the water, when they want to buy the best rod or the best baits or how to fish this or learn stuff, like, they look up to these people. And I mean, a lot of these people are with these companies because they're getting paid, not because they believe 100% in the product. And you're misleading people.
Well, I mean, look, dude, I mean, they're out there to do a job, right? And they have to make a living. So, and they don't have the luxury sometimes of somebody, you know, a dual income house like some of us have. So, you know, you can't bash them too hard, man. Just stay focused on what you do, because honestly, you could talk about that all day long and it doesn't do anything for your brand. It's not going to grow you faster talking about how all these guys suck up to their sponsors and promote their brand. It's their job, right? Do you. Just do you, man. You're doing you and you're doing great. Let's keep doing us, man. I don't need to talk about them. It doesn't grow you anymore bashing some guy that promotes a brand that he gets paid by. It doesn't really help you.
It just bothers me. That's all I'm saying, man.
I got you. That's fair. I mean, sure, bro. It would bother everybody, but
no, you're right. You're right, Eric. There's just, unfortunately, there's a handful of bad apples out there that kind of ruin it. And you know, with the digital world we live in, with social media and YouTube and everything, that a lot of your entry level, intermediate level, you know, day-to-day consumers, they consume a lot of this information,
sure,
you know, on Instagram and social media and Facebook. And unfortunately, you know, there's no ranking system for some of these guys' accounts, right? It doesn't show you who's actually qualified to do it. But like you said, some of these guys, they got a name or they're getting paid to do it. And you know what? It's just the world we live in, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to change. And I don't know, just like Eric said, Travis, you got to just do you. And I think obviously judging by the comments, people appreciate your standpoint, and just leave it at that, you know, and we at Cortland do, you know, and it's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. So
love it.
But you know what? I don't think those are your people, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, I really believe that there's been a shift in the industry, right? And you know, the more authentic you can keep your content, the more people trust what you say, and you have to rely on people to come to you because they see what you're doing. It's real. You know, so, and I think that's why people gravitate towards the channel. They like the entertainment, they like the conversation, they like the real talk.
Let's do it. So the next video that we'll have Brooks on is going to be Eric and I doing some steelhead fishing somewhere. What's the best month, man, moving forward?
October.
I'd say late October.
Spring. I thought we were going to do this in the spring.
Oh, you want to do it in the spring?
Yes.
It's the spring.
Get now. What I like to do is I like to wait for the runoff to happen. So up there, like Pulaski, it's called the Tug Hill Plateau. I know you know what it is, right? Yep. It's a higher elevation. They get a massive amount of lake effect snow. And right now with these warm temps and the rain we're getting, that river is super high. And we're going to be on foot, right? So the three of us are going to be on foot. If I can get 2 boats, great. I think I want to make you guys earn it a little bit more on foot. I'll get waiters. I'll get waiters for you. I work.
No, Eric's gonna have a problem already.
No, time out, dude. Time out. I've had 3 knee surgeries on my right knee, man.
Okay, we'll get a boat.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Get a boat.
Oh, jeez. So now we're in a rowboat.
How about Travis? You wade behind us, and then we'll meet you at the bend. So you can just slog ahead. You know, we'll let you know what to do. We'll hook you up with the flies and all the things.
We can get. I'll get a couple
a bad knee or not. Listen, Eric can stand in a bass boat and fish, and not. I've never heard. So he's worried about slipping on rocks. And today's
Travis, I was a fly fisherman probably before you were born. I'm just kidding. No, but I've waded many a stream, many difficult streams.
But today's waders,
I definitely fell down and slipped on a rock. I've waded by myself in some shitty, treacherous fucking streams in Western Maryland that I promise you I probably shouldn't have been doing even when I was in great shape. So I know the perils of wading. I've done it. I've done it a lot for sure. And you know, look, man, I'm not looking for a 4th knee surgery to catch a steelhead. So if you just want to wade and earn your fish, you go ahead, do it, man. I'll catch Brooks another time, and I'll float with him.
You don't even have to get in the water. We could probably.
Yeah, I got some good spots, some nice little pea gravel. Trust me, all the boots you're gonna wear, Eric, they got aluminum bars on the bottom. They cut right into the rocks. That's what they're for. But I got my job at Cortland because I got out of full reconstructive knee surgery. I didn't have a job, and my buddy at Cortland was like, "Hey, you want to work for Cortland?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't even know what my job was. I just showed up.
That's so awesome,
working there. Man. Like, I was actually getting in a drift boat to go steelhead fishing in April 10 years ago on the Salmon River. Calls me, he's like, "You want a job?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow." And that's
so awesome. But wow. Yeah, how did you? What did you do to get full reconstructive knee surgery? What happened?
I played lacrosse in college.
Yeah,
and I thought I was still in college when I was out of college.
I heard that.
Yeah, I drank a lot and ate a lot, and then I went up against and played guys that were in college. I thought I could run with them. And
holy shit!
My body went one way, and my knee went the rest. And
dude, yeah, man, I played doubleheader softball into my 40s, man. I played like I was still playing when I was a kid. I played quarterback as a kid. That's when I got my first knee surgery.
Fresh out of college, right? I had no health insurance. I had no job. Shit. The next day I jumped on a boat and went trolling in Lake Ontario for salmon and brown trout. I couldn't even reel in I couldn't even stand up. And I painted houses for 6 months up and down a ladder. I waited 6 months to get knee surgery, and finally, like, my knee just kept going out. I'm like, all right, you got to man up and get knee surgery. And
was it ACL?
ACL, MCL, meniscus, it was everything.
Yeah, you had the whole shooting match going.
The whole thing. Yeah, so they took a graft off my hamstring and made a new knee out of it.
That's
never got physical therapy because I started working at Cortland. So I have no hamstring. I'm 34.
Travis, you don't know nothing about it, man. You never put on a helmet and strapped it on and hit somebody full speed.
Bro, I can play softball.
You what?
And I played volleyball.
Oh, volleyball, man. What a pussy sport. Shut up, man. You don't know nothing about what we're talking about. So you just sit on a sideline. You're like an armchair quarterback. Come on, man. You never played a contact sport.
Shortstop.
This ain't no contact sport, Travis.
I can play outfield too. Slow pitch.
I don't think you tackle anybody. We're talking about contact sports.
You could hack it. You look like a good baseball pitcher or maybe basketball or something. You're like 6'4", aren't you?
I can shoot hoops.
You still got game? You could play a little ball? You a baller?
I mean, it's been a while, but I was good at it.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. Just pick up street basketball? Okay.
Most guys that were good at sports that went the fishing route weren't good enough at sports, like myself and like Travis.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever. I enjoy sports to some degree. I'm saying.
What?
I like sports. I don't like to watch sports, but I like to play sports.
Oh, okay. That's good clarification.
Hey, before we leave,
yeah.
What are some of the big tournaments up here in upstate New York this summer? Do you know?
Yeah, July 24th is a Smallmouth Crush Open on French Creek Marina out of Clayton.
That's it. That's the only one.
That's the reason why I did one, because there's not enough. No, you're going to have a couple of BFLs, MLF BFLs. You're going to have some ABAs, and there might be a MLF Open up there. But there's not a whole lot this season, man. No.
Oneida, I assume, St. Lawrence.
Oneida's will have some, sure. There's going to be tournaments. There's just not, unfortunately, there's not a lot. The guy I fished with today, Jason, he's like, down here in Alabama, in this region, he's like, there's people that make a living off of weekend tournaments down here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we don't have that luxury up there.
No. Unless you want to die, you know.
There's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nighters, Friday days, Saturdays. We get like 4 tournaments a year up there.
No, it says a lot. You know, when you got guys that come out of, you know, New York or the North Country, I call it, regardless of where you're from, and they're fishing in some of those high-end, you know, tournaments, and they're making names for themselves. You got to understand, I mean, we don't get those days on the water like those guys down south. Same thing, like I used to play golf in high school. There's a couple kids that went to Clemson, some big-time golf schools, and
like,
you don't get to play golf up here like 5 months out of the year versus some of those
playing all year long.
I'm jealous.
How about I met some college kids that fish for college? They're getting free. They're going to school for free because they can bass fish.
It's awesome.
That's cool.
That's
got
awesome.
A bass scholarship, man. I would like to go back and get my MBA, my master's in bass fishing administration. Come on.
And these dudes, they don't mess around. These young kids, man.
Yeah.
They're on it.
They're killers, man. They're video gamers. They're gamers. Hey, Brooksy, man, what position do you play in lacrosse before we go?
I played midfield. I was, you know, I'm only 5'9". I was probably 150 in college.
Yeah.
But I was fast, man.
Yeah. My son played attack, man. He played at X, man. He was slippery.
Yeah, you got to play lacrosse when you're from Maryland, right? That was the only place there was lacrosse. It was Long Island, upstate New York, and Maryland.
Shoot,
that was
dude, man, that's like the cradle, man, right there, man. Long Island and Anne Arundel County in Maryland in particular.
Yeah, so. Anne Arundel. When I played in community college for a couple years, played Anne Arundel. We played Essex.
Oh, shit, dude.
Lacrosse is where you have that stick, right, with a basket in it.
Yeah.
You throw the ball.
It's like a butterfly catching net, Travis.
Yeah.
But the best
Native
part
Americans invented it.
Brooks Robinson was a famous third baseball player for the Orioles.
For sure, man. You got the name. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. So like every time I went out there and played in college, the ref's like, "You're in the wrong sport." I'm like, I sucked at baseball.
That's why I'm playing lacrosse.
I love lacrosse, man. I was fast. You couldn't catch me. I wasn't great at much, but I could run, and that's
awesome.
Until I blew
position
my knee
in
out.
midfield, man. Clearing that ball, dude.
It paid for college. That's all, man.
That's so freaking incredible, man. It's awesome, man. Good for you, man. That's good stuff, man. You got to work hard. It's a hard sport.
Last question. What do you guys think? And it's kind of for me, maybe for everyone else listening. What do you guys think these gas prices are going to do to guys that are going out fishing day in and day out? Maybe tournament anglers, maybe weekend guys. I mean, I drove by a gas station today, it hit 440. I'm like, what the, those, dude, I've seen those engines on those boats you pull up with at the plant. Those things, they're sipping gas. I'm curious to see how this year plays out. I mean, it's only March, and, I'm not, I hate getting in politics. I'm not trying to do that. I just, gas is gas. Everyone uses it. Just kind of curious to see how it, plays out for your.
I think guys will be fishing near the ramp.
I hope they raise it another $2 a gallon to keep some of that riprap off the water.
I knew that was coming.
Luckily, Travis can afford it. The bougie. He's the bougie guy.
We'll all be in rowboats hovering around.
Guys will be fishing for the ABC fish like it's a 100-boat field. 80 are
right
by
have
the ramp.
Four trolling motors on the back of their bass boat.
And by the way, just because gas prices are high does not mean I'm gonna devalue or keep you close to the ramp. For anyone that booked guide trips with me, we're gonna go where the bite is. I don't care if I burn through 100 gallons a day. Like always, I ain't gonna be taking you off. Try to conserve money. We're gonna go where the fish are. That's how I run my guide service, by the way.
Right on.
Right on, Travis.
Yes.
All right, that answered that. That's all I got.
There it is.
No, and I didn't mean that. That was a joke, because my dad used to say that growing up when we complained about gas prices. He's like, "Oh, I hope they raise another $2. There's so much traffic on this road, anyways." I know that Mercury, I know that the engine companies are very concerned, because obviously, whether it be for fishing or just leisure on the lake, when you're paying that much for fuel, there's people aren't as motivated to go get a new pontoon boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
it's unfortunate. Hopefully things work out for everybody. I mean, cheap gas is the best for everybody, especially.
And I don't want to go deep state and all, but if you do some research.
Hey, listen, guys, I got to go. I'm watching a movie upstairs. Hey, Brooksy, it's been great. You guys here talking about deep state. I'm out. It's been a real pleasure until this moment. But you roll on, Travis. You haven't had any sleep. You just whine.
Well, I wasn't saying deep
complain
state.
about bye.
We knew that was coming. Brooks, I'm going to be straight up with you. I feel like natural, like oil, is actually created daily, just like water. I don't think it runs out.
I agree with that.
I think they're lying to us.
I just hope things get fixed for everyone listening and everyone that's got a bass boat and a truck. Everything works a little better when it's not 440 a gallon. I just curious, on my end, you got to understand. I mean, being, selling fishing products, and it's just, man, it's a big hit for most guys. So I hope everyone, gets out there in the water. And if you are going to do it, you save your money for your giant Mercury and full throttle. Right.
Throttle. Well, I used to run hard. I do step it back. Like,
you just come up on plane now and then tone it down a little bit.
I think there's a big need, man. There's a lot of tournaments where I'm just cruising out there at 50, 55, dude, not 70. I swear. It's like I have nowhere to go quick, I mean, I used to be that guy, but it's better on your equipment. It's more for equipment. To get something replaced today or repaired.
Awful.
When you run that big water and you try to press it. Now, yes, is there days in a tournament coming back where I need to get back to the ramp and I'm going to take some chances? Yes. But having your equipment in top-notch conditions, the number one reason for me why stuff fails is how you run a boat in waves. Wires get loose, fall off, bolts come out.
Big water.
That's what happens.
Yeah, when you're up there on big water and you got to run, even 5-10 miles, and the constant pounding. I mean, it's the same for any boat owner. Something's going to happen, right? You keep doing that day in and day out, and you don't kind of manage your speed. You don't manage the waves. You're especially nowadays, like you said, parts for boats, just boats in general, motors in general. Like I know guys that they jumped on a new boat pro staff team. They're like, my boat was supposed to be done last year. Now it's not going to be done until next year. Same thing with motors, right? Yeah. And it's down the list. So like the smallest piece for a motor could be 3-4 months. Well, in upstate New York, that's your season, So
Yep.
You just got to be smart about what you're doing out there, especially, you know, when it's your livelihood and you're guiding. You know, if you got endless dough, and I call it FU money, when you got that sitting around, it's fine, right? It's not a big deal. But for the majority of us, you know, you got to be smart about what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, for where you are on big water, I mean, you're just that's a constant thing you got to think about, is managing your boat. I mean, 3 to 4 footers up there, that's, you know, you're in giant open water. That's nothing.
Right. Right. And in a given day, I mean, we have what, 50 to 55 gallon fuel tanks. When you think, let's just say it's 50 at $4. Sure. So that's going to be a $200 fill up. Man, I know a lot of anglers in a practice setting for a tournament, you're going to burn through 40 gallons a day.
You better love it.
Whew. Scary. Anyways, well, we appreciate you coming on, man. Always good. Some great info here. Like I said, guys, you guys know I love Cortland braid. I use it on pretty much everything as far as my spinning rods and a few of my bait caster setups. There's not a whole lot of, besides maybe crankbaits and jerkbaits, I'll use some type of fluorocarbon or a hybrid. That's it for me. So, again, great stuff, man. We are always welcome back. I'm sure we'll have you back in the future. We're going to go fishing. I'm going to take you smallmouth fishing. You'll take me steelhead fishing.
Deal.
And, we'll have a good time.
Yeah, I need an education in smallmouth fishing the right way.
I just think it would be a good experience to get you out there and see kind of my style of fishing and how I do things and why I use this braid versus that. And we'll just go jack on some fish and kind of show you what's up out there.
I reel right-handed, so you got to switch all your reels over for me.
What about spinning rods?
Right-handed.
Really?
I know, it's weird, right?
It's fine. There's people like that.
You can switch those over, right?
Yeah, you can. You can.
You know what? I don't know why most guys are left-hand retrieve with spin reels, but they're all right-hand retrieve with bait casters.
Most people are.
Is that just like kind of industry standard, or just?
No. If I could do it all over again, it'd be more efficient if I could cast with my left hand.
Right.
You know, because I do have to switch hands.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I just unconsciously do those kind of things. But yeah, you could. I see it. Turn it upside down. Yeah, you could. You know, I could take a picture of me fishing with you. I'll have the spinning reel up here, and I'll retrieve it, you know, backwards like you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah. Something like
I'm not that bad, I promise you.
No, I know.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Your fans are awesome. I'm spoiled when I come on here. Remember, I'll leave up code free ship for a week for the boys on here, and you're the best, man. Appreciate it.
Sounds good, man. We'll talk to you.
All right, later.
All right. See you. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Travis Myers will be with us next week, Monday, I believe. I have to check. I'm pretty sure he'll be with us. And it's going to be a great show. You know, he did a great job on the Smallmouth Crush Live podcast. Really opened up my eyes when it comes to scent, as well as different types of baits out there and how he does it. Like, we're going to really dig in. Hopefully he's got good internet, fingers crossed. And we're going to learn a lot from that live show coming up next week. So I hope to see everybody there. In the meantime, we're going to get some more videos. We're going to have some content from today. I'm filming tomorrow. And probably film a few more other lakes before I make it back home by the end of the week. And then guiding for me really starts in about 2 weeks. So I'll be booked up every day out there on the Chesapeake, jacking on some big largemouth. And then once July comes around, we're heading up to upstate New York. Looking forward to that. Enjoy your night. As always, until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.